I've never seen myself as a talented person. I've never thought that I've had any special gifts, but being a C student, I've always had to outwork everybody. And I feel like I've always been teachable because I don't feel like I'm as smart as most other people. Started part-time in 2011, made about 30 grand, went in full-time in 2012, was blessed enough to do a multiple six-figure income, not because I was any good, but because I had a system to plug into. The biggest thing that I've gotten out of this journey to date, Dallas, isn't the money that we've earned. It's the person I've been able to become through the process.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I'm your host, Dallas Keithley. Appreciate you guys jumping in here yet again. Man, I feel like we are old friends now. I feel like, I could come over, walk into your house, take something out of your fridge, and I'm not saying you wouldn't shoot me, but you'd at least point the gun down. You know what I mean? So, man, I appreciate the fact that you guys have welcomed us into your home, your car, wherever you listen to these things. We hope it's been helpful. We hope that you have grown your playbook one play at a time. That's our goal here, just to help you grow your Medicare business. One thing I was thinking about this week as I was preparing for this podcast is a lot of people get discouraged when they don't take leaps and bounds, when they look and they're like, man, I didn't do anything amazing yesterday. I like to tell people, just get 1% better. Can you do just a little bit better today than you did yesterday? Can you take something from today's podcast and can you apply it? And can you make sure that it works in your business? And can you make sure that you are applying it and seeing some fruit from it is what we want to say. But today I want to jump right into the podcast. We are joined by a very special guest. I remember the first time I heard this guy speak, I'm like, that is a dude that I want to be in business with. And I heard him speak again and it affirmed it. I heard him speak again. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy that I want to. There's people that God puts in your life that you just want to form a relationship with. And that is this guy. So I want to welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Hall. Mike Hall, buddy, thanks for coming on.
Man, what an honor, Dallas. I'll tell you, I've really enjoyed watching the podcast. You've had some incredible guests on, so thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you've been on the list for a minute, so we're glad we got it done.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Now, you are a CEO of Trustworthy Financial, correct? You all are located in Indianapolis, Indiana, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And doing big things there, man, building a Medicare team, working with a lot of people, helping people change their lives and all that stuff. But the thing about Mike is the journey that he took to get here. Mike, I don't know if you know this. My goal growing up was to be a cop. I wanted to be a police officer. That was the goal. I went to college to be a police officer and found out that I tried to cram 4 years into 1.5 semesters. That didn't work out and went on and did other things. But I always wanted to be a police officer. And just from the aspect of I've always enjoyed helping people. I've always enjoyed being in a place where I can find people. A lot of times, of course, police officers find them at their worst situation and see if we can help them get their day, make their day better. You actually took that route. You went and first off became a firefighter and then a Marine. But man, tell us about your background and what you did to get to the insurance space.
Well, thanks again for having me, Dallas. And my background's a lot like yours. You were raised as a missionary kid. You got to see your parents serve people and make a difference at a different level in their life. My dad was a pastor my entire life. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And I just remember seeing the difference that he made. And I wanted to have that same effect. I just didn't want to take the same route. I'm an introvert. I've lacked self-confidence the majority of my life. My grandfather was a firefighter. And one of my best friends growing up was a volunteer firefighter. So I joined the volunteer fire department when I was 14 and fell in love with it. I saw a way that I could go impact people and make a difference in their life. And I didn't have to directly engage with them like you do if you're counseling someone or preaching with someone. My biggest fears in life were public speaking and dealing with people, right? Like sales or something like that. So my dream was to be not just a firefighter, but a firefighter in Baltimore City, Maryland. I was able to do that. I got hired when I was 20 years old. Dallas, they hired me at $19,000 a year.
Ooh, what are you going to do with all that money?
Years, huh? I hit the top pay of just over $50,000. But I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I absolutely loved what I did. I was also a Marine. I went to Iraq in 2004, came home in 2005, and ended up getting some lung issues from my time overseas. And ultimately, that led to a medical retirement through the fire department. And I started thinking, like, what am I going to do with my life? What do I want to, what am I able to do? I mean, I joke with people and I say that, I was set up to work at McDonald's or a warehouse the rest of my life, but I wasn't a good student. I was a C student. I'm convinced that my English teacher passed me in high school because she didn't want to see me again. I ran from college, not that there was any money for me to go to college if I wanted to go to college, but I always had this dream in my belly that I wanted to be more. I wanted to be more valuable. I wanted to live a different lifestyle, and I didn't have a bad lifestyle growing up. I just wanted something different. And I've always cared about people. I wanted to be a difference maker. A friend of mine got me involved in network marketing at a young age. I was probably in my young 20s. And what that did was, I'm looking around now because typically I've got them everywhere, but I've got these things called books, right? That got me reading to understand that if I changed the words that were going into my brain, I could change the way that I thought, which would change my decisions, which would change my result, that ultimately would lead to the way that I felt. That was the first time that I understood that I could have a different path than the one that I was on. And so I quickly realized network marketing was not for me. I've got several friends that do extremely well in it, but I wanted something to where I could go out there and based on my ability, I could go out there and take care of my family. One of the things that I loved about the insurance business was that they said, Mike, as long as you're teachable and willing to outwork everybody else, the sky's the limit. Like you could earn whatever level of income you wanted to earn. That stuck to me. I've never seen myself as a talented person. I've never thought that I've had any special gifts, but being a C student, I've always had to outwork everybody. And I feel like I've always been teachable because I don't feel like I'm as smart as most other people. So I thought those two things I can do. Started part-time in 2011, made about 30 grand, went full-time in 2012. Let me tell you this real quick. I remember when I first got started in the business, I went to my first big event, September of 11, right after I got started. And I saw people walking across the stage being acknowledged for making $100,000 in income. And my thinking was so broke that I thought that if I could reach that level within the next 10 years, that's going to change everything about my life. Went in full-time in 2012, was blessed enough to do a multiple six-figure income, not because I was any good, but because I had a system to plug into, and I was surrounded by some incredible people. Been doing this for almost 14 years now. The biggest thing that I've gotten out of this journey to date, Dallas, isn't the money that we've earned. It's the person I've been able to become through the process.
Wow. Mike, there's some stuff to unpack there, buddy. I'm trying to think about where to start. First of all, I heard a word that you used was adaptability, because if you go back, I'm picturing a young Mike Hall full of just vinegar and you know what else, getting hired on for $19,000, about to change the world, finally realizing the dream of I'm actually a real firefighter. I'm not a volunteer. I'm actually working with these guys. And man, the pride that goes with that. If I would have told you, hey, Mike, here in X number of years, you would be someone that is leading an insurance team, sitting face to face every day, talking to people, telling them about their needs, reading at a very high level. I know the hardest part, I've sent Mike books before. The hardest part of sending Mike a book, we go through this thing where I'm like, hey, do you have this one? Yep. Do you have this one? Yep. Do you have this one? Yep. The dude reads like crazy. If you were not able to adapt, you wouldn't be where you are. I mean, is it fair to say that?
100%.
Yeah, because your outlook was not, your outlook at that time was, I'm going to be a firefighter and I'm going to be the best firefighter Baltimore City's ever seen, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff, man. So as we then get into, so you got in the insurance business, you started working for yourself and making a good living and seeing that, hey, if they can do it, why can't I do it? What made you start looking into starting an agency and actually bringing people in underneath you?
Well, great question. And for me, because of everything that I just explained to you, I was not the guy you were going to find on a resume. I was not the guy that you were going to hire to earn $100,000 or more in income, because I didn't have the self-belief that I could do that. The only reason I got into this business, other than the two reasons that I just said, of I only had to be willing to be teachable and outwork everybody else, was that they showed me a business system. And I was familiar with the story McDonald's, and I got introduced to Ray Kroc's story. And I understood that not only if I could go out there, see, I love the concept of network marketing. I just didn't love that I had to have thousands of people on my team to make a livable income. I didn't like the fact that my team knew that I needed them to be able to earn a good income. So I thought, if I can go out there and change my life financially, if I can put my head down and put in the work and change my life, if there was a way for me to go out there and introduce this to other dream-driven people like me, that maybe they didn't know that they had a shot, or maybe they didn't know there was a way, and I could capitalize on that, that could not only change my life, but it could change their life. At the end of the day, salespeople are out of business until they find the next person they're able to help. And I understood that this was my insurance policy, if you will, for my retirement. What happens if I get hurt? What happens if I get sick? What happens if I pass away? God forbid I want to retire one day. Two quick stories. I've got a friend of mine in 2020 was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He's in this business. He built a team. He made $10,000 less in 2020 than he made in 2019. And he was not able to plug into his business for a period of 6 months in 2020 because he was solely focused on his health and beating cancer. He beat cancer. He's back to building his organization today. He's as healthy as an ox, but he would not have been in the business if it wasn't for him having a team, right? And then we think about us. I mean, we're relatively young. We're in decent shape. I've got a friend of mine just this week. I've known this kid since he was knee high to a grasshopper, as the old people would say. 42 years old, married, 2 young kids. Passed away in a fire this week. Baltimore City fireman had a cardiac arrest right in the middle of it. His wife woke up the next day, and it's like her entire world was turned upside down. I knew that if I didn't have a team, if something happened to me, that would wreck my family, my wife, my daughters. And so, one, selfishly, I want to make sure that they were going to be safe financially. But two, I thought there's got to be a ton of scared people like me that really have a dream to be more and help more and do more.
Wow. And, it all comes back to that service aspect. You think, okay, but you're not doing what you set out to do. You really are. Service is service. Helping people is helping people. You may not be running into a burning building. I've been in some final expense homes that there may have been a fire in or two, but you're not necessarily running into a burning building, but you're helping people see what they can accomplish. Do you remember a moment? Because I'm looking at you now, Mike, you're one of those guys that you have to tell me you're an introvert, right? I'm looking at you now. You've obviously done some stuff on purpose to overcome that and to build up that courage muscle. Do you remember anything in particular was there a time where you're like, okay, it clicked and you're like, okay, here's what I have to do to become who I want to be as far as being an introvert?
Well, when I was 18 years old in high school, I lost a bet. And I don't even remember what that bet was to this day. You would think I'd remember something being this big. And the deal was, if I was wrong, if I was right, my buddy was going to not go to the Marines. He was going to stay back, and we were going to keep doing our thing. And if I was wrong, I was going to go with him. He was supposed to leave the next day. Obviously, I was wrong, and nobody expected me to do that. But there was one of the things that my dad told me many times throughout my life. He said, Mike, the people can strip you of everything in your life. The one thing they can't take from you is your word. Your word is your bond. It's everything. If you lose that, you've got nothing left. And I remember, we moved probably 14 times when I was growing up. My dad didn't buy his first home until I was in high school. And I remember thinking, okay, the chances of me being stripped from everything is there. But I didn't want to start my adult life out on a lie. So that's one thing. That was important for me, to know that my name mattered and that I did what I said and I said what I did. Another thing is, How many people do you know that got to the end of their life and they said, man, I wish I would have had more stuff, or man, I just didn't want to have regret. I didn't want to have that regret saying, I wish I would have gotten a little bit more uncomfortable. I wish I would have gotten out. See, courage is not the absence of fear, but it's taking action in spite of fear. I wanted my daughters to say that my daddy was he might not have whatever, but he was courageous. He was not afraid to do hard things, and he affected a lot of people. Coach Michael Burt, in his book Flip the Switch, he said that early on in his life he was a preacher. And he said that he was asked to do the funeral for two different families, the eulogy. And he said that when he was meeting with the families, he didn't know the families. So he went to go meet with them to kind of learn a little bit more about the person. And he said that he got a similar story from both of them. He said, what was he known for? What were his accomplishments? How many people did he affect? And both of them sat there and they thought for a minute and they said, I don't know that he really made a difference. I don't know that he really affected a lot of people. I think he was just a good person. And I thought, what a bigger slap in the face to my friends and my family if that's what's said about me at my funeral, is that, well, Mike really didn't make a difference. He was just a good person. And so not wanting that regret in my life, wanting more, being told, having incredible people like you around me in my life telling me that what they see in me versus what I saw, that's what kept me going when things got difficult.
Wow. Good stuff, man. And thank you. I appreciate that. That's, you spoke to me there when you talked about being at a funeral and people looking back. One of my biggest thing when I wake up every morning, I've gotten a habit of saying, Lord, you woke me up today. There's got to be a reason. Help me to see it. That's something I say every day now when I wake up. And I've been doing that for about a month and a half. And boy, it's been interesting what I've been able to see and what I've been able to do. And just leading a life of significance, in my opinion, is what you just said. It's being able at your funeral, people being able to say, look, the world was a different place because this guy was in it in a better way. And he affected this person, this person, this person. And so that's incredible. Now I want to, as we look at you building an agency and helping people and helping Medicare agents become better Medicare agents and really unlocking their potential, unlocking what they have inside of them. What are some of the leadership skills that you took away from, it could have been from the Marines, from the firefighters? What are some things that you now implement today for you personally to get up every day and just dominate the day, but then to pass on to others as you help them reach their goals?
Well, there's a couple of things that I want to say about this, and I don't know that I'm going to answer your question directly, but I'll get there. I don't think the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower because they wanted a good education, a great job, and good benefits. They came because they wanted freedom. We don't do this because we want money. Money is a tool. It's a byproduct of the value that we bring. But ultimately, what we want is freedom. We want the freedom to be able to go take care of ourselves and our family. We want the freedom to be able to have the resources to go bless other people. I can't go bless anybody if I don't have the mask on myself, right? There's a couple of things I want to mention before I get into that. One is change is one of the most difficult things in the world. Dallas, neither you or I or Rocky Garza or any of the incredible people you've had on this podcast are good enough to make anybody want to change. It's one of the most difficult things. But when somebody is ready, they can't be stopped. You've got to have an inner desire that's stronger. The pain of where you are in life has got to be greater than the pain that it's going to take for you to do something different. So it starts right there. You got to start with a desire. One, you've got to want not the thing, not the money, not the byproduct. You've got to want to become more at such a level that you're willing to do whatever it takes. When you go to a gym, you break your muscles down before you build it up. When you go into the Marines, they break you down as a person and they rebuild you. Right. So it started with the desire early on to be more, to be like my dad, to be able to go out there and make a difference. Two, I do think I learned a lot in the Marines as far as leadership goes. I mean, not just that. I mean, they taught me how to sew and how to clean, and how to cook and all the basics as well. But They taught me discipline. They taught me work ethic. They taught me discipline. You had alluded to something earlier. You had alluded to police officers showing up at somebody's worst day. Firemen show up at somebody's worst day. Today, you and I have got a crystal ball. We know that nobody's getting out of this world alive. We know that one of the most underserved populations in our community is the baby boomers. And so, one, if you're an entrepreneurial minded person, if you're business driven, if you want to go out there and be in business for yourself, what other industry can you go in and start a business, first of all, to where you can get in for just a couple $100, make the income of surgeons, but not have the schedule of surgeons once you get up and going? So a couple of things about Medicare. One, it's recession proof, it's economy proof, it's COVID proof. Every day there's over 10,000 people turning age 65. It's going to happen for the next several years. They all need an income. Most of them have worked and paid into the system to where they can get on Social Security and be able to benefit from Medicare. And they all love their family. And here's the thing. Most people are on the 40-40-40 plan. They work 40 hours of their life to work for 40 years to live on 40% of their income. And I didn't want that for me. And I know that if I want to be a business owner, I didn't have the college education to go start a business, and I didn't have the capital, the two important things that you need to get in business, right? But the insurance industry has made the most amount of first generation millionaires that there are out there. So one, it's a service that everybody needs. Two, it's created the most wealth in our country. And three, I like to have something called SWAN. I want to sleep well at night with whatever it is that I do. And nothing against any other industry, but when I think of pastors, when I think of teachers, when I think of nurses, paramedics, doctors, when I think of people that go out there and make a difference, who makes a bigger difference in somebody's life than what we do? Whether it's on the life side or the Medicare side, making sure that somebody's got their healthcare taken care of. I think other than the biggest fear that seniors have, which is outliving their money, I think the second biggest fear is what happens if they were to get a critical illness later in life? What happens if they get put into a nursing home and they don't have the funds to be able to pay that? And now all their assets are at stake and their income, right? So I just couldn't think of a better business. If you want to go out there and be in business for yourself and or build an agency, either way, I can't think of a better business to be in, especially Medicare, and specifically Medicare other than life, because of the renewals. I mean, literally, you could go out there and build a book of business, and unlike the life business where you're out of business if you don't have an organization, with Medicare, you could go build a multiple six-figure income to live on in retirement.
Whew, good stuff, Mike. Mike, the folks that are watching us on YouTube are lucky that this is a very well-crafted shirt, because I came this close to just shredding it, man, just ripping it off in full Hulk mode here. Guys, if your fire's not lit, as my dad would say, and I'm sure Mike's dad has said once or twice, your wood's wet. Something's going on wrong, right? So good stuff, man. You alluded to something earlier, and even a little bit in that, you talked about your why you do it. It's for the residual income. It's for making sure that, if something does happen to you, your family's taken care of. How important is it that folks know their why? I'm going to ask you, what is your why? You've mentioned, I think already, you've got a board full of sayings there by your little girls behind you. But also, how often do you remind yourself, and how do you remind yourself of your why?
Great question. And it's really a loaded question. And my why has changed over time. I think everybody's why changes over time. One of the things that I didn't understand when I first got into this business, everyone always said the why is more important than the how. And I thought that's silly. Like, how does that make sense? Why does it matter why if you don't know how? Like, if you don't know how to get started? Well, it matters because because it's not if things get hard, but when things get hard, your why is what's going to get you through it. My initial why was I was broke and I needed to make some money. My second why was I wanted my girls to know that it was okay to be different than everybody else and to take a different path, and it was okay to do hard things. my why today is I want to go out there. I've been extremely blessed because of the mentors that I've been able to surround myself with and the person that I have and continue to become. But at the end of the day, I don't think that you need to have a why to get started. I think that if you just take action, immediate action, and if you can do what Tom Brady says, that if most people, if you could do what most people don't have the ability to do, which is just stay consistent, you're going to beat everybody else. If you can go take immediate action, Dallas, and get that result, it's going to fill your bank account. It's going to make you feel better, and you're going to find your purpose along the way, right? Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney said that our life, the purpose of our life should be to live a life of purpose. If you want to live a life of purpose, you don't need to know your purpose. Take immediate action, get the results, and you're going to find your purpose, and it's probably going to change over time. So don't have a paralysis by analysis, because maybe you're watching this and you don't know what your why is. Maybe you're looking for a way to make income. Maybe you want to become more. Maybe you love people and you want to affect people more. Yes, your why is important. Yes, you need to know it, but you don't need to know it to get started.
Love that, man. Dude, I don't know if you remember this, but you spoke to me at a time that I was kind of struggling. And I've always been a guy, ADHD is just, man, like I should have maybe made my middle name. Focus has always been a hard thing for me. I do a lot of different things to focus and stuff. You recommended a book for me called The 12-Week Work Year. And I've read that thing at least 3 times now, and it has changed my life. I want to give the folks something that they can apply today. We've given them a lot of great stuff, but I want to give, so guys, take out your notepads here. Mike, how do you, running a Medicare business, even as a regular Medicare agent, if an agent came to you, because we talk to a lot of brand new agents, if an agent came to you today and said, how do I structure my day to be successful? How would you approach that?
Okay, well, you know what, the thing that the 12-week year concept has really done for me is now, instead of having a year and 12 calendar months, you've got 4 years in a year, right? So every quarter is a year. And so people overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in a quarter. So it helps you be more, like you said, focus on what it is that you're doing. But I do think that you win or lose today based on your calendar. If I can see your calendar and your checkbook, I can see what your priorities are. For me, every morning, I got to get up. I got to jump in the Bible. I spend some time reading that every morning, and I read a book every morning. I know that if I'm left to my own thoughts, my own inner thoughts, even today, if I'm left to my own inner thoughts, they're going to be negative. I know that failure happens in isolation and success happens in community. That community starts first thing in the morning, 1, in the Bible, and then 2, me pouring into myself through other successful people, or I'll listen to a podcast on the way into the office. So I think that you need to start there. I don't think that we can separate who we are from business people and people. I think we need to be hitting on all cylinders, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? So something I've not done a great job of here recently is my diet. I think that it's important to eat. Hell, I've gained about 20 pounds in the last couple of months. You know, but listen, I think it's important.
We can skip that part, Mike. I just came back from New Orleans. I'm telling you, I treated my body like a dumpster behind a Mexican restaurant. It was bad, man. But yeah, we're going to start that today.
Well, you know what? I just told my wife yesterday, I said, man, I'm back on intermittent fasting because that is important. You have more energy when you're eating well, right? You've got more clarity when you're reading. If you're exercising, you've got more energy. But you got to put the big rocks in first. So many people look at their day, and there's a big difference between being busy and being productive. What are the most important things that need to happen today that you know you need to get done? For me, I like to have a checklist. I like to have a calendar. I like to know exactly what it is I need to do, because if I don't have my day specifically laid out, then I'm going to be busy. But what did I actually get done? Dave Ramsey says that if you don't tell every dollar where to go, it's going to find a place. The same thing's true with your minute. If you don't tell every minute where to go, you know what? We were on a call this morning, and a guy that you know well, Brian Askins, asked a couple of questions to us. He said, first of all, he said, winning is a choice, right? So we've all got to make that decision that we're going to win. But he said, how would you rate yourself on your work ethic? Well, I don't know that a lot of us are going to be really honest on that. But here is what was more impactful to me. He said, how would your peers rate your work ethic? And does your spouse think that you're working harder than you actually do? So when you're planning out your day, when you're planning out your calendar, are you doing it to look busy? Or are you doing it because you really do want to go accomplish something? So that takes part in how you run your week as well.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I've even, one thing I've started doing has really helped me. I've divided my day into two sections. I have my morning and I have my afternoon. That way, if I have a bad morning, it's okay. I've just blew the morning. I've still got the afternoon. I've even went home, showered, and changed at noon to instead, look, we're starting a new day. That was a horrible morning. We're starting a new day. Let's get it done. Good stuff. So, Mike, I want to finish up with this. I recently heard an interview with Michael Jordan, and the greatest basketball player of all time. And we'll do a whole podcast on that someday. But was listening to him being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. And she said this was at the peak of his career. And she said, Michael, did you ever think you would get here to this? And he said, no. And she said, well, Mike, that might be discouraging to some little kids. There's a lot of kids out there that want to be Michael Jordan. He said, stop it. That's a mistake. He said, if you set yourself up, your goal to be someone else or something else, you could either, one bad thing was you wouldn't reach it, or he said the worst thing is you could hit it because then you stop. I looked it up. The number one player, the rookie of the year in 1975, when Michael Jordan would have been 12 years old, was Bob McAdoo. And I got to thinking, man, what if Michael Jordan had just wanted to be Bob McAdoo? Like that was his goal. And when he reached it, he stopped. We would not have Michael Jordan today, right? Your life, as I said earlier, took a significant turn, and it was not one that you orchestrated. You were not given a choice. Your lungs said, hey, this is something you can't do anymore, right? You could have stopped there and said, well, okay, I guess I reached my potential. I got to stop. And now I don't know what I'll do. I guess, like you said, go flip burgers at McDonald's or whatever. There's people out there today that, man, I hate the word potential. At 15, the word potential is an amazing word. At 40, the word potential is a cuss word. It just means you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. If someone's out there today, they're having a bad time, they know it's within them. Mike, what's the first step they take to start going towards what the good Lord intended them to be?
Great question. I'm taking some notes here because I want to touch on some of what you said. Here's the other neat thing about Michael Jordan. Do you realize that he was kicked off of his high school basketball team?
Yeah.
And then I was reading the book, that a couple of them that Tim Grover wrote. I don't know if you know who Tim Grover is or not.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, Kobe's coach, Jordan's coach. Yeah.
Right. And so in those books, he said that he actually trained several people that had more talent than both of them. But what they didn't have was they didn't, and I go back to answer your question to the first thing that I said, they didn't have the desire that they had. Jordan and Kobe showed up earlier, they stayed later, and they put in more reps than everybody else. They wanted it more than everybody else, right? And so when the pain got great, they leaned in. So that's the first thing would be the desire. The other thing is you're never too old to take action. You're never too old to become the best version of yourself. Ray Kroc started the McDonald's Corporation in his mid-50s after being a somewhat failed milkshake machine salesman and repairman. Truett Cathy started Chick-fil-A in his mid-60s. What would the world be without Chick-fil-A today? Right?
Not a place I'd want to live in, man.
I'm telling you. And so it really comes down to what do you really want out of your life, and what are you willing to sacrifice to make it happen? There's gonna be a cost to it. And is it worth it? So the first thing is find a good mentor, find somebody that you can lean into, find somebody that's got a system, find somebody that's having success, and then go on their thought process. You are where you are, Dallas, because of the people that you were surrounded by. I am where I am because of the people that I'm surrounded by. I think of Cody. Look at the impact that you've had on Cody Askin's life. I mean, former principal of his, former basketball coach. I'm sure that there's been a ton of influence that you've had on him that's helped him become who he is today. So have a desire, find a good coach that's got a good system, lean in, overwork it, don't overthink it, and just put in more action than everybody else. And here's the thing, if you put in enough action for a long enough period of time, you can't help but win, because the only way to fail is to quit.
Boom. Mike, you're building a team there, a Medicare team. You guys are seeing success. You're there in Indianapolis. You're working. I know Leonora, she's helping you out, leading that team there. You guys are doing something special. If there is someone that is looking for a mentor, if someone maybe they've got the drive, they got the desire, they've got all that stuff, they just need somebody to help point them. If they wanted to visit with you about maybe being on your team or looking at you as a mentor, what is the easiest way to reach out to you?
Yes, great question. And by the way, Leonora is incredible. We are so blessed to have her, and we are building something very special here with her on the Medicare side. You could either reach out to me directly. You could go to getstarted.trustworthy.life, or you could email us at medicare@trustworthyfinancial.com.
Good stuff, man. Mike, you got me fired up, ready to go. I feel sorry for the rest of my day because I'm just going to absolutely crush it. I appreciate you, man, more than you know.
I'm blessed, my friend. Thanks for having me, Dallas.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed that. Did want to drop a couple nuggets in here, a couple things. One, we have been doing Medicare boot camps, and we've done a couple of them now. We're getting ready to go to Oklahoma. I'm not sure when this episode is going to drop, but we're getting ready to go to Oklahoma, and then we're going to Tennessee, and we're going. All right. So we would love for you guys to join us. It's absolutely free. Go to MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. You can join. We have been filling the rooms and turning people away. So we would love for you to join us. Also, do me a favor, subscribe in our new website, MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. There's a place where you can suggest someone that you think should be on this show, or you can give us a topic idea, maybe something you're struggling with. We would love to hear from you guys and let us know exactly what you want to hear. Guys, thanks again. Thank you to Mike Hall. Great job as always. I've been excited for that one. I knew he would tear it up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Keep up the good work. If there's anything we can do, please reach out to us. We would love to help you. Until next time, we'll see you on the Medicare Sales Playbook.